What if I told you that the Bible mentions a race of supernatural beings who once walked the earth, giants born from the union of angels and humans, beings so powerful, so otherworldly that their very existence has sparked debate, fear, and fascination for thousands of years? Welcome to Scripture Bible Stories. Our mission here is to bring you powerful and immersive Bible stories revealing deep spiritual truths. Who were the Nephilim, and why does their story remain one of the most controllable and mysterious in all of Scripture? Today we are diving deep into one of the Bible's most enigmatic tales, a story that begins in the shadows of Genesis, stretches into the conquest of Canaan, and even echoes in the prophecies of the end times. This is the story of the Nephilim, the giants, the fallen ones, the beings whose origins and purpose have puzzled scholars, theologians, and seekers of truth for centuries. In this video, we will explore the origins of the Nephilim, those cryptic verses in Genesis 6 that hint at a cosmic rebellion. We will examine the theories. Were they the offspring of fallen angels and human women, or something else entirely? We will uncover their presence after the flood, their connection to the giants of Canaan, and their lasting impact on ancient cultures and modern imagination. But this is not just a story about the past. The mystery of the Nephilim continues to captivate us today. From ancient myths to modern conspiracy theories, their legacy lives on. So, what does the Bible really say about these beings? And what does their story mean for us now? Before we begin, I want to ask you this. What if the Nephilim were not just a myth? What if their story holds a key to understanding the spiritual battles that still rage around us? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might see the Bible and the world in a whole new way. Let us begin where it all started, in the days before the flood, when the world was a very different place, and the line between heaven and earth was far thinner than it is today. To understand the Nephilim, we must begin where their story is first revealed, in the book of Genesis, chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. Let us read it together. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. These 4 verses are the foundation of the Nephilim mystery. But who were these sons of God? And who were the daughters of humans? To answer these questions, we must dig deeper into the language, the context, and the ancient world in which this story was written. The term sons of God is a phrase that appears elsewhere in the Bible, particularly in the book of Job, where it refers to angelic beings who present themselves before God. Therefore, many scholars believe that the sons of God in Genesis 6 were angels, specifically fallen angels who rebelled against God. These beings, once holy and pure, chose to abandon their heavenly purpose. They saw the daughters of humans, ordinary women, and were captivated by their beauty. But this was not just admiration. It was a deliberating act of rebellion. They took these women as wives, crossing a boundary that was never meant to be crossed. However, not everyone agrees with this interpretation. Some argue that the sons of God were not angels at all, but rather the godly line of Seth, the descendants of Adam who remained faithful to God. According to this view, the daughters of humans were from the line of Cain, who had turned away from God. The intermarriage between these 2 lines, they say, led to moral corruption and the rise of the Nephilim. Which is it, angels or men? The answer may lie in the meaning of the word Nephilim. The term Nephilim is often translated as GAINTS, but its meaning goes deeper. The root of the word comes from the Hebrew verb naphal, which means to fall. Some interpret this as fallen owns, suggesting that the Nephilim were the offspring of fallen angels. Others see it as a reference to their physical stature, giants who towered over ordinary humans. Whatever their origin, the Nephilim were clearly extraordinary. They were powerful, fearsome, and unlike anything the world had seen before. But their existence came at a great cost. How did people build everything they owned of dust just to perpetuate the religious orders? To fully understand the story of the Nephilim, we must step into the ancient Near Eastern world, the cultural and historical setting of Genesis. This was a time when myths of gods, demigods, and giants were common. In Mesopotamian texts, for example, we find stories of the Apalu, half-divinity, half-human beings who brought knowledge to humanity but also caused great chaos. Similarly, in Greek mythology there are tales of the Titans, powerful beings born from the union of gods and mortals. These stories bear striking similarities to the account of the Nephilim. Could it be that the Bible is referencing a shared cultural memory of these events? Or is it revealing a deeper spiritual truth that other cultures only glimpsed? Whatever the case, the presence of the Nephilim marked a turning point in human history. Their corruption and violence were so great that they became one of the reasons God sent the flood to cleanse the earth. But even after the flood, their legacy lingered. In the book of Numbers, we read that the descendants of the Nephilim, the Anakim, still inhabited the land of Canaan, striking fear into the hearts of the Israelites. So what does this mean for us today? Are the Nephilim just a relic of the past, or do they hold a warning for our future? Let us explore the theories and uncover the truth. The story of the Nephilim is shrouded in mystery, and over the centuries, scholars and theologians have proposed various theories to explain their origins. Each theory offers a unique perspective, but all point to one undeniable truth. The Nephilim were unlike anything the world had ever seen. Let us explore the three most prominent theories. The first and most traditional theory is that the sons of God were fallen angels, spiritual beings who rebelled against God and chose to mate with human women. This interpretation is rooted in the belief that the term sons of God refers to angelic beings, as seen in other parts of the Bible, such as Job 1:10-6 and Job 38:7. Support for this theory comes from passages like Jude 1:6, which says, "And the angels who did not keep their positions of authority but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day." Similarly, 2 Peter 2:04 warns, "For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment." According to this theory, the union between fallen angels and human women produced the Nephilim, hybrid beings of immense size and strength. Their existence was an abomination, a violation of the natural order created by God. This corruption was so severe that it contributed to God's decision to send the flood. But this theory raises profound questions. If angels can take physical form and interact with humans, what does that mean for the supernatural realm? And if the Nephilim were the result of such a union, could something like this happen again? The second theory offers a different perspective. According to this view, the sons of God were not angels at all, but rather the godly line of Seth, the descendants of Adam who remained faithful to God. The daughters of humans, in this case, were from the line of Cain, who had turned away from God. This interpretation suggests that the intermarriage between the godly line of Seth and the ungodly line of Cain led to moral decay and the rise of the Nephilim. The giants in this view may not have been literal giants, but rather men of great renown, or infani, tyrants who oppressed others and spread violence across the earth. Some scholars prefer this theory because it avoids the controversial idea of angels mating with humans. Instead, it focuses on the consequences of mixing faith with rebellion, a warning that still resonates today. The third theory takes a different approach, suggesting that the story of the Nephilim is symbolic or influenced by ancient Near Eastern myths. In cultures like Mesopotamia and Greece, there are countless tales of demigods, beings born from the union of gods and humans. These stories often describe them as giants or heroes. According to this theory, the biblical account of the Nephilim may have been shaped by these cultural narratives. Instead of literal beings, the Nephilim could represent the spiritual and moral corruption that plagued humanity before the flood. Their giant stature might symbolize their overwhelming influence on society rather than their physical size. This interpretation also aligns with modern historical and archaeological findings, which suggest that many ancient cultures shared similar myths about giants and demigods. But does this mean the Bible is simply borrowing from these stories? Or is it revealing a deeper truth that other cultures only glimpsed? Whatever the case, the story of the Nephilim challenges us to consider the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural, the physical and the spiritual. It forces us to ask, what is real and what is symbolic? And what does this mean for our understanding of God's plan? The story of the Nephilim does not end with the flood. In fact, their legacy lingers long after the waters receded. Centuries later, when the Israelites stood on the brink of the Promised Land, they encountered something that filled them with terror: the descendants of the Nephilim. Let us turn to Numbers 13:33, where the Israelite spies report what they saw in Canaan. "We saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." This raises a startling question. If the Nephilim were wiped out in the flood, how did they reappear in Canaan? Were these the same beings, or something else entirely? According to Genesis, the flood was sent to clean the earth of corruption, including the Nephilim. But if they were destroyed, how do we explain their presence in Canaan? One possibility is that the term Nephilim became a general term for giants or mighty warriors, rather than referring to the specific offspring of fallen angels. Another theory suggests that the Nephilim mentioned in Numbers were not the same as those before the flood, but rather a new generation of giants, descendants of Anakim, who may have inherited the traits of the original Nephilim. This would mean that the corruption that led to the Nephilim's creation was not entirely eradicated by the flood. Whatever the case, the presence of these giants was enough to strike fear into the hearts of the Israelites. But who were the Anakim, and how were they connected to the Nephilim? The Anakim were one of several giant clans mentioned in the Bible. They were descendants of Anak, a figure whose name means long-necked or giant. The Anakim were known for their size and strength, and their presence in Canaan was a major obstacle for the Israelites. Other giant clans like the Rephaim, Emim, and Zamzummim also inhabited the region. These groups were often described as mighty or terrifying, and their existence is recorded not only in the Bible but also in ancient Near Eastern texts. Some scholars believe these clans were remnants of the Nephilim, carrying on their legacy of power and fear. Others argue that they were simply usually tall or strong people, whose stature was exaggerated in biblical and historical accounts. While the Bible provides a clear account of these giant clans, what does history and archaeology say? Over the years, there have been claims of discovering giant squeletal remains, though many of these have been debunked or remain unverified. However, ancient texts from cultures like the Egyptians and Canaanites do mention the existence of usually tall or powerful people. For example, the Egyptian execution texts curse the chiefs of the land of Canaan, some of whom are described as towering figures. Whether literal giants or symbolic representations of power, these clans posed a real threat to the Israelites. Yet, as we know, God delivered Canaan into the hands of his people, proving that no giant, no matter how fearsome, could stand against his will. Now, what does this mean for us today? Are the Nephilim and their descendants just a relic of the past? Or do they hold a deeper spiritual lesson? Let us explore the modern implications of this ancient mystery. The story of the Nephilim is not confined to ancient texts. Even today, their legacy continues to captivate our imaginations, sparking debates, inspiring stories, and fueling conspiracy theories. Let us explore how the Nephilim have been reinterpreted in modern times, and what these interpretations might mean for us. Of the most controversial modern interpretations of the Nephilim comes from the ancient astronaut theory. Proponents of this theory suggest that the sons of God were not fallen angels, but extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth in ancient times. According to this view, the Nephilim were the hybrid offspring of aliens and humans, a scientific experiment gone wrong, legislated. While this theory is fascinating, it strays far from the biblical context. The Bible clearly presents the sons of God as spiritual beings, not visitors from another planet. Yet the idea of the Nephilim as alien hybrids has captured the imagination of many, blending ancient mystery with modern science fiction. The Nephilim have left an indelible mark on our culture. From literature to movies, their story has been retold in countless ways. Books like Fallen Angels and the Origins of Evil and the Book of Enoch delve into their origins, while movies and TV shows like Supernatural and Noah bring their legend to life on screen. In the world of conspiracy theories, the Nephilim are often linked to secret societies, government cover-ups, and even the end times. Some claim that the descendants of the Nephilim still walk among us, wielding power and influence behind the scenes. While these stories are entertaining, they often stray far from the biblical narrative, yet they reveal something important: the enduring fascination with the Nephilim and their mysterious origins. So, what do you think the Nephilim really were? Were they myth, history, or something beyond our understanding? Could they have been a warning about the dangers of crossing divine boundaries? Or do they point to a deeper spiritual reality that we are only beginning to grasp? Whatever your perspective, the story of the Nephilim challenges us to think deeply about the mysteries of the Bible and the unseen forces at work in our world. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mystery of the Nephilim, do not forget to like this video and share it with someone who loves exploring biblical mysteries. Your support helps us create more content like this. Want to uncover more hidden truths from the Bible? Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Together, let us explore the depths of Scripture and uncover the timeless wisdom it holds. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Remember, the Bible is not just a book of ancient stories, it is a living, breathing guide that speaks to us today. Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep exploring the mysteries of faith.